In my opinion, the warm-up is not separate from the workout. It is a part of the workout, and that's because a good warm-up is going to make your workout that much better. So that's why I say it is a non-negotiable. It is a part of your workout. It's meant to accomplish two things in the end. It's meant to make sure that you get the most out of the more challenging things in your workout, as well as make sure you're not going to get injured or tweak yourself in some way. Not everything has to be a full-blown injury, but of course we want to make sure that we are experiencing the good kind of pain in our workouts and not the little things that limit our ability to get the most out of pushing the heaviest weights. Or even, this conversation is not just specific to weights. We can also think about more athletic endeavors like if you're into martial arts or you play soccer, whatever the case may be. The warm-up is crucial. And a lot of people don't know how to properly warm up, which makes sense because a lot of the guidance that's been given in regards to a warm-up is garbage, if you ask me. Now, this does not mean that we're going to be spending time doing unnecessary things, of course, as a part of the warm-up, and that's kind of what I'm getting into, is a lot of the guidelines are not typically all that optimized for actually making sure that you're going to get the most out of your workout. So we're not wasting time here. What I'm going to show you is stuff that you can do in 5 to 10 minutes before doing the more challenging things in your workout. And again, I'm going to try and speak in such a way where the warm-up is just a section of the workout in totality. You have the warm-up and then you have your working sets. It is common practice to do some sort of steady state cardio before a workout, and that's great because it's going to get the body temperature up, it's going to get things moving, but that on its own I don't think is going to cover your bases. Actually, I know it's not going to cover your bases. Just because we are warming up the body and getting some motion going does not mean that you're going to perform as well in your weight session or your jiu-jitsu session or whatever. Again, not criticizing the steady state cardio, but I think that could actually waste more time than doing some of the stuff I'm going to really get into in this video. So include the steady cardio if you'd like. I recommend not doing any more than 5-10 minutes. And also keep in mind, a warm-up should never exhaust you. It's meant to prepare you. Nothing more, nothing less. So again, cardio, I keep pointing over here because we have cardio equipment over here. Actually, we have some back here as well. Another common practice with warm-ups is to simply do, if we're speaking specifically on weightlifting, is to do lighter sets of an exercise leading up to the heavier sets, which are going to be your working sets. And that's great. I definitely recommend that. But that's not all I recommend. So as an example, let's say I'm going to do a seated shoulder press, and my working set is going to be with 70 pounds, and then I might descend from there. But the top set is going to be 70 pounds. I would likely start with perhaps 25 pounds and do, maybe a set of 5 to 8 reps. Then perhaps I'd go up to 40 or 50 pounds and do, maybe 4 to 6 reps. And then I may get into my 70-pound set after that, because that's going to make it so the body it knows more what to expect. It knows the range of motion you're working with. It's progressively working up in the weight, so you're not just jumping into those 70 pounds, because I don't know about you, but if you've ever tried doing your heavier set without a warm-up, you might feel it's a lot more of a struggle. But if you do the weights if you do lighter weights leading up to the heavier set, you're going to feel a lot better in that heavier set. But this is, again, assuming you're not doing something that's going to actually exhaust your body in some way. So again, if I'm starting with 25 pounds as my warm-up for the 70 pounds, I wouldn't want to do 10 to 20 reps necessarily. It may not be a complete detriment to your workout, but it's not going to be necessary in order to get, further your warm-up. So outside of the lighter weight work leading up to the heavier set, again, highly recommend that. But before you get to that, I am huge into dynamic stretching warm-ups with a band or with body weight. If I'm just doing the shoulder press to warm up for the shoulder press, that's great because that's the range of motion I'm working in, but you got to kind of prepare for the worst. And not only that, but you also have to make sure that the surrounding muscles, maybe not the ones that are going to be specifically working in the exercise, but are going to be supporting the exercise, are not super tight. For example, the lats, they help you with the shoulder press. Make sense? But they're not necessarily going to get, opened up, so to speak, from doing the shoulder press at lighter weights. That's where I would encourage, for example, what I call a lat lateral. So grabbing a band, stretching it overhead, and then pulling side to side to really open up those lats. Now you might think it's crazy, but I assure you it's not. This will almost certainly make your shoulder presses feel better. But it will also make your lat-specific movements feel better. So if you have a back day and you're doing pull-ups or lat pull-downs, definitely include some lat laterals as a part of your warm-up. Somewhere maybe in the 10 to 20 per side, feel it out, and you may notice, ooh, that's feeling kind of tight. And as you go, it's going to feel warmer and warmer and better and better. Speaking again on shoulder movements, so an overhead press or an incline bench press, whatever, opening up the rotator cuffs with something like the over-under is going to be key. This is one that I have all my clients do, because this is just, it takes the shoulders through such a large range, opens the chest up. Again, just because I warmed up with my 25-pound weights, what if I get to my heavy set and for whatever reason I start doing this sort of deal and my body's not ready for it. It doesn't have that range of motion. It doesn't have that mobility. That's when you could end up hurting your shoulder. I didn't like that. And speaking on lower body exercises, my absolute favorite warm-up is going to include some sort of external rotation of the hip or some sort of figure four. And again, keeping it dynamic, a figure four squat is fantastic for lower body warm-ups. Because, let's say you're doing, your lower body day consists of squats and a deadlift. When you do your squats, you're doing that. When you're doing your deadlift, you're hinging. Neither of those ranges of motion are working that kind of hip external rotation, but that hip external rotation is going to really help with your deadlifts and your squats, because those muscles support the deadlift and the squat. And to further that, they really support the lower back, which is active in a lot of different exercises, but especially a squat and a deadlift. So if you have a lot of tightness in your lower back, figure four movements, fantastic as a part of your warm-up. Absolutely fantastic. But not just that, you got to look at the other side. So we have, figure four, getting sort of the outside of the leg, up through the glutes. But then we have the hip flexors on the front. And that's also very supportive for the lower back and comes heavily into play with squats and deadlifts. And again, squats, we're not really lengthening our hip flexors very much. Deadlifts, same deal. They're not really getting lengthened. So as a part of your warm-up, it may be valuable to include some sort of split squat to get the hip flexors opened up. So these concepts you can apply to any given workout. You just got to think about, what am I doing in that workout? And then, look at the specific muscle, but then look at the surrounding muscles as well. And again, when looking at a squat, especially if you are going through a really large range of motion, going ass to grass, as they say, the knees are going to be a very large consideration. We are taking our knees through a nice range of motion here, but then we got to consider the supporting muscles. So if you have a lot of tightness in your calves and your ankles, that could influence your knee, because big overarching concept here for everything we're talking about is the body acts as a unit. An issue in your ankle could affect your knee, could affect your hip, all the way up the chain. So, but breaking it down a little smaller, again, just looking at the knees, tight calves and ankles, maybe do some body weight calf raises. Ideally with a deficit. I'm going to do them kind of weird here to show you what I'm talking about. I wouldn't necessarily stand up on a bench like this, but making sure your hips dip below the surface and come all the way up, as well as tibialis raises, which tibialis on the front side of the leg, kind of mirroring the calf, and that is very, very key for knee health, by the way. But if we activate those, even simply by doing some little body weight tib raises, or there's other ways you can go about the tib raise, but hopefully you get the point. Let's say you experience a lot of elbow pain and you're doing your arm day. Forearm curls, maybe not with weights this heavy. Again, warm-ups should not exhaust, but perhaps with 3, 5, 10 pounds doing forearm curls in all manner of ranges. That's going to help support the elbow quite a bit. You can also even do some little twisty guys here as a part of your warm-up. So I guess the main point I'm trying to drive home here is A lot of the traditional means of warming up for a workout, if someone's going to warm up at all, let me just say, because warm-ups tend to get neglected, is that they're just going to do the steady state cardio and or do maybe lighter versions of the exercise that they're planning to do in their workout. But there's more to consider, because the body, things can happen that are unpredictable, and that's, you want to prepare for the worst, but preparing for the worst is not just going to cover your bases as far as not getting injured goes. It's also, in my opinion, going to make you perform better in the workout itself. Because again, if we go back simply to the tight lats equation, if your lats are tight, it's going to make it so perhaps you're not going to get as much out of your shoulder press. Just open those suckers up. And then once you've done your dynamic stuff with a band, as well as body weight, such as your figure fours, then you start going into whatever exercise you're going to be performing that you want to ultimately challenge. This information comes from the bottom of my heart. I'm truly trying to help you out here. This is stuff that has served me very well. I'm not somebody who experiences injuries, even though I train very, very hard in the gym. And I also do very strange exercises and weird ranges of motion, and I still do not get injured. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day or night or whatever the case may be for you.